Now, today I'm going to tell you something important, which I've discovered today. Actually, I've been told or informed. I don't know what else would be the right word. I already spoke about how I remembered my 5 past lives. Yes, 5. I lived in Japan, in France, in Spain, in Africa, the country called today as Togo. And but today, I've been informed, so to speak, of the first one. As you already know, as I already told everyone in my videos before, I kind of don't live in this world 100%. I'm not going to go into all those depths, but as I said already, I see better with my eyes closed. And so, I've asked, maybe it was like 4 months ago, I don't remember, something like that. I've asked someone to tell me something about my chart, my birth chart, a horoscope. I know something about astrology already, but I wanted to hear from someone who, I read and I've read a lot. And I wanted to know something from my chart that I didn't know. Why don't you give me your interpretation of that? But that someone is not in this world, so to speak. No, I'm not crazy, and I know what I'm talking about. And he said something like, he gave me a very good, I was very satisfied with this interpretation, although I'm not sure about the future events. And it was completely different from what you can find somewhere else on this earth, so to speak. And by the way, I'm gonna tell you this. He said something about me having how do you say in English? The royal ancestry. So I wasn't sure what to think about that. So I was thinking today, asking myself, thinking, and I remembered it. And the answer came to me. 18,000 years ago, I was an Arabic princess. I wasn't a queen or anything, but a princess. Although as funny as it may sound. And I found out what were the problems in this life I experienced. And as I already said, I can be a very good observer. in that life, I did what I wanted, not what I didn't want. So, as I already spoke about it, you must doesn't exist. It's about I want and I don't want. So I didn't have such a good, how do you say, ending. The story didn't end in such a wonderful, good way for me at that time. It was the age of Scorpio, I think. And basically, I concluded, I knew actually, I didn't conclude anything, I knew. From what I heard, what I felt, what I knew, what I saw, I didn't basically see anything special. But I know that I lived somewhere very near Yemen, today's Yemen. And the earth looked a little bit different. There was not so much of the Red Sea as there is today. And it was 18,000 years ago. I found out one of the main problems in my life. It's the fear of death, because I didn't have a quite a wonderful ending, and the envy, because I knew I could, and I just knew it. The envy of others who, how shall I say this? I don't know how to say this in a better way. They lived in a ring of past not. That's what I heard recently, the ring of past not. But I knew who I was. It's very interesting. In this life, I always knew who I was. And I would rather, when I was a kid, I wasn't a terrible kid. I was rather good, obedient, good, But I was very lonely because I was always alone in the house. There was nobody, usually, not always, but usually I was alone because there was nobody to babysit me. So I had a lot of peace and quiet. I can't understand why today people are so shit scared about, if they live. I think it's just, it's even against the law to leave the child alone for an hour or two. But I could do what I wanted, just like back then. It's the envy of knowing who I am, just knowing everything and anything and being free. And this is a very important aspect of my life today. I would rather take a slap from someone than to listen to somebody's stupid commandments. Why I didn't get, one of the reasons why I didn't get married, of course, it was the moment he told me the first commandment. That was goodbye. Because I saw very early in this life that the first lie is a one-way ticket. I just won't go for that. And it's very interesting. I see it in other people's marriages. They say they're happy. Some of them are happy, but it's always master and servant. I already spoke about the patterns. It's always master and servant. It's whatever, this and that. It doesn't matter. And I already spoke about those patterns, and to tell you something else. The moment this thing in that life, 18,000 years ago, the moment that happened, I think I was even accused of something, whatever. The moment that thing happened, that I was about to die, whatever it is, blah, blah, blah. That was the moment when I was dragged into this ring. The ring of pass not. How do you get out of it? I didn't know it was called that. I just heard it recently. And I remembered. Yeah, I did. I remembered. And I remember from this life, my life, this one, that I've always had a problem with people who, I rather enjoy solitude, not loneliness. I'm so desperate, because this is a trap. And what can I say? We've all been there. It's a lie. Guilt is a lie. When you fall into that, ring, whatever it's called, you feel all those things. Guilt, especially guilt, desperation, whatever it is. But it was the envy. And I always talk about envy. I see it in people's eyes, and I feel it from far away. And it's the main problem in this world, envy. It caused so much suffering to everyone, and they don't know how to get out. And to go back to the beginning, what I wanted to say, I've always, I consider people, we're all, friends, friends and friends. But we should be friendly to each other. But I always met people who were dragging me down. And many of the problems of my life that I haven't been aware of, or I just realized today what was the cause of it. Never listened to anyone else. Even my mother, she was envious of me because I'm 20 years younger and I have the right to live, and I live, when you're 20 years younger than someone, usually they have a much more comfortable or better life than you. So I felt it even there. I felt it within my family, friends, you just name it. I felt it in the work, the job that I do, one job, another job, another job. I didn't like any of them, but I had a job. And recently what I found out, I've learned, the place where I was born, it was, it's kind of rude and stupid and rude and how dare you, things like that, to just speak the truth, You can say it here and there, but it's just not right. What do you mean it's not right? So people were actually raised to put up with everybody's shit and without knowing how to get out of it. For example, I look at the Bosnians, for example. They have such a mentality, like full time, and this is why that country is the way it is. It's all for the family, First you take care of your family, you love your country. It happens in my country too. He works in the government office, but he loves his country so much in his heart, that first he gives a job within this government office. First he finds a job for his son, for his daughter, for his family, for his ex-wife, this wife, who knows, maybe 2, 3 lovers, who the hell knows. But they love this country so much, and I'm the one here, I'm the one, or you who are looking at this right now, who are watching this, you are the one stupid fucker who has to find something somewhere just to survive and pay taxes and whatever it is, wherever you live, in your country, wherever you are, and pay for these stupid shits to live. They don't even have, some of them don't even have to go to work. It doesn't matter where they are. They just blab a lot of nonsense. They're just taking your money of the small people, and then we, the small people, I have to ask for example, the landlady, it doesn't matter. I have to ask her, my salary is late, can you wait for like 4 or 5 days? And she says, okay, we live like that. They live like 1 phone call and maybe 2, and this is it. Well, how about if, let's say, I take away from you what makes you powerful. And this is the only thing I have to take away from you. I'm not talking about someone who works in the government office. I just mentioned it as an example because I worked in a place like that, and it made me sick. If you people knew whom you are financing, what are they doing, you would all come back to the meadow and live like you are in a festival or something. You're usually somewhere in some kind of meadow, and that's it. And you'd be living like that. At least you'll be living with nature. Well, actually, whatever you think about me, I don't care. And that was the mistake my mother made, She was my mother, but she was more like she was a mother, of course, caring and all that. She was a good cook, we always had a lunch, and we always had something to eat. And all that, the house was always cleaned, and I'm thankful for that because she taught me how to be a little bit more disciplined, clean. She taught me, no, she didn't teach me how to cook. She only taught me a few things, but but I liked it. But in many ways, she was my enemy too. And like a dictator. We had a certain pattern too. And that pattern is called, in English, it's called a torturer and a martyr. We kind of switch roles from time to time because, it usually happens. And this is how the fear, this is this ring of pass knot where the fear rules. And this is how the fear rules in your life, in your lives. by giving you the roles, and you say yes to each and every one of them. By playing roles, this means you are manipulated by fear. And you're gonna stay there for a long time, or you're gonna choose another role. Remember, when you try to give up drinking or smoking or something, when you try to get rid of one addiction, you choose the other one. Usually it's like that. Stop drinking, oh yeah, stop smoking. I'll start smoking. Or usually I stop smoking and then I start eating, and then I get fat, from one addiction to another. And this is how this fear manipulates you, with you. And this is in connection with the very beginning that was written in Genesis, when those two bit the apple, blah, 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 the story. It's not true that she convinced him to bite the apple, because it's the chemistry of language. She didn't convince him. I read somewhere, she ate the apple and then convinced him to eat the apple. No, she didn't convince him. Who convinces the other one? They didn't need convictions to be convinced into something. This is what the tradesman does it. They have to convince you that you need something that you don't need. She didn't convince him. She just gave him the apple. Here is the apple, because it offered a new experience. And that's all. That's the whole story. She just used her choice. The ability to choose. So, from the moment, let's go to those two, from the beginning. From the moment they did that, they stepped into like another sphere, world or something, another experience. So something that they haven't experienced before. But let me tell you one other thing. We know from the very beginning, there was God, and the God is almighty, and he created this and that and blah, blah, blah. We don't know anything else before. Our Father who art in heavens. What do you mean you art in heavens? If you are there, I am there too. You see the chemistry of language. The teller of the story, who told the story as Eve convinced him to eat the apple, was already suggesting she's evil, it's her fault, and it will be like that. And the teller of the story, who just wrote actually, she gave him the apple and he ate, and that's it. He just told the story. The other one, who said she convinced him, had a certain intention. So, that's all about it, actually. And as I already said, we don't know anything before, except that he created this, that, blah, 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 earth, animals, blah, blah, blah. After this one little, 3-4 pages or something in the beginning, you have like 1,000 or more than 1,000 pages of what people do and how they will be saved. And there was in Christianity you have the New Testament too, which I always say that you people are illiterate. You don't know how to read. you know how to read, but you don't actually read it properly. And the thing, what I'm trying to say is, what's before that? He just is. Well, if he just is, those first two people just were. And that's it. What the fuck are you people doing from these like 3-4 pages at the beginning? What the fuck are you, all of you, doing for these 1,000 and blah blah pages of the rest of the Bible? This is what I'd like to hear. But maybe not from you people. You are too deep in the sea where you are all swimming. Sometimes you get out and sometimes you go back in. It's like, oh, now I've got some rest, and then you jump in again and swim and complain. In these ex-republics of here where I live, in all those ex-republics, republics which are countries today, people like to. It's not complaining, it's like howling, it's more like howling, oh, poor me, it's always somebody else's fault. I spoke about that one too. If you meet a person who speaks for like 20 years, for 50 years, all his or her life, oh, it's the government, oh, it's this one, oh, it's my parents, my friend, oh, this bitch, that bitch, this man, that man. If it's always somebody else's fault, it's okay to just talk and complain about something, but not always, So if you meet I do it too, Oh, it's that, but I don't do it all the time. So if you meet someone who talks all his life, he or she spends all his life talking about that, just run away from them. Just say, yeah, all right, goodbye. I've got some other things to do. Because I'm not going to listen to you. But you must have the feeling within you to know when the story is, his or her story is true or not true. How can you live this life, your life, without being able to know, to tell what is lie, what is the truth? Now you tell me that. From what I've seen, most people don't. And if they do, they deny it because truth is dangerous. Look what happened to Jesus. And he is the way, the life, the truth, yes? Yes, he is. But of course, he is wise. And I'm going to tell you another secret today. Do you know why he said, I am the way? Because he left you the signs to be on your way, on a, let's say, the good way, the proper way. He left you the signs. He never said, I am the solution, I know. He didn't even say, I know what it looks like in heaven. No, he didn't say that. He never said that. He never bragged about anything, did he? No, he didn't. He just said a story, what it looks like in the kingdom, of God. Well, it looks like when this son, blah, 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 spent his money and then he came back and the father was very happy, blah, blah, blah. how many people are ready to forgive to his son or his daughter or her son, daughter, whatever, kid, his or her kid, for something, you know? Yeah, kind of, I really don't know. Ask yourself that. He just left the signs of how to live, how to look for him, how to, he didn't need 2,000 philosophers in the world to teach you how to pray, I met one woman who, there is some kind of like prayer union or something, whatever it is in English language. It's when people meet, like 10, 20 people meet, and then they just sing songs and pray, and that's it. Who is running, it's called the School of Prayer. How can you have a school of prayer? Don't you know how to ask for something? God, Jesus, whatever. You need a school for that. What the fuck, And it's the same woman who tells people that Satan rules the world, blah, 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 and stupid things like that. So she told me once that she thinks that I have to read the Bible more thoroughly. And I said, well, I don't need you. And that's the story. I don't need you. You are not my God. You're speaking about Satan who rules. How can he rule something that's not his? Didn't your God tell you that he's just some kind of creature that, distracts you from something, from the right way you're walking. And that's it. Nothing else. That's what it's written. He's just distracting you from something. He's not the ruler of fucking anything. And that's it. And don't tell me bullshit about swearing, because this is what you people taught me. You taught me that. Within that ring, yes. You taught me that. I wasn't born like that. I heard it from you. Where did you hear that? All of you, throughout the world. Just look at 2 or 3 movies today. And that should be enough. And that's enough for me for today.